Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to another Arc Garage video. Today I'm going to be installing the ATOTO S8 second generation Android head unit in this Alfa Romeo 147. So we are essentially going to go from this factory radio to something much better. If you follow our channel, then you know that I already did a head unit installation both for Alfa Romeo 147 and GT. However, then we installed much cheaper units, and I did take a bit more complicated approach since I didn't want to wait 2 weeks for a European radio adapter to arrive. Today the situation is going to be much different thanks to the adapters that come with this head unit. The process is going to be much simpler, and we are only going to need to connect 4 wires. So we're gonna go from this right here to this in under an hour of work. Okay, let's see what we got here. The good people from ATOTO sent us this model for free. Now they did the same thing about a year ago, and I installed that head unit in my Giulietta, and I gotta admit I'm more than happy with it. Here we got a bunch of these cables. However, we're not gonna use all of them. Here we got the RCA connection harness with external SIM card slot. These are the output adapters for the amplifier. Here we got one of the USB cables. I mean, you got pretty much all of the cables you might need for such an installation. Here's another USB cable, and these adapters are the ones that are gonna make this job much easier. So first we're gonna test the harness in the car, and I'm going to use one of these adapters. And lastly, we got this adapter if you don't want to use any connectors at all. Next we got microphone. However, I'm not gonna use this one. The unit works well without it. We got 4G antenna. We got our GPS antenna. Then we got some metal brackets, and here we got some screen protectors. This is a frosted one, and here's the clear one. Now we also got these frames. This is actually the one that I'm going to use. However, I am going to paint it so it kinda looks a bit better. Next we got a bunch of these instructions for the brackets, the user manual, and things like that. And lastly, we got the unit itself. Now the main thing that I like about it is the minimalistic design. There are no knobs or anything like that, and as you can see, this one is quite thin. It's not heavy at all, so it will be pretty easy to install it. Besides all of the things that I showed you, I also had to buy this fascia for Alfa Romeo 147 and GT, and you can get it for about 20 euros. I'm gonna start by painting this frame that goes around the head unit. As I said before, I'm doing that just to make it look a bit better. I'm gonna use the abrasive pad to scratch it up a little bit. Then I'm gonna use a plastic primer, and in the end I'm gonna use some gray color that I closely matched to the interior trim color. Next, I'm gonna pull out the factory radio using 2 basic wires. I'm gonna undo all of the connectors, and I'm gonna cut the plastic piece in the middle. Alright, let's test out the connector. Now all of these wires, you can see they are all speaker wires. Now the ones on the bottom are going to be our voltage and our ground wires. So the ignition is off. This one at the top, that's going to be our 12-volt constant. Now the one beneath it is our ground. I'm also going to check the rest of them just to make sure that we are not getting voltage anywhere else. Now I'm going to turn the ignition on. So as I said, this is our 12-volt constant. Now I'm checking for the illumination and the ignition wire. And you can see this one right here is going to be our ignition wire, which only gives us the voltage when the ignition is on. Alright, now that I got the wires tested, I can see that the connector type A wires correspond to the wires on the connector on the car. The ground corresponds to the one on the new connector, as well as the 12-volt constant and the ignition 12-volt. However, the new connector is not perfect since this car does not have illumination wire. I'm gonna show you later on how to connect it. Okay, so here I got the 3 wires on the new connector for steering wheel controls. The one of them is for the ground, and the remaining 2 are for each side of the steering wheel. So I'm gonna take the insulation off, and I'm gonna connect these 3 wires to the corresponding wires on the connector on the car. To go, and the 3 wires that we need from the original connector are the one on this green part. The wires that we are interested in are the pink and purple, pink and green, and purple and black. I'm just gonna cut them right here in case I need to reconnect them in the future. Again, I'm gonna take insulation off on these 3 wires, and the one wire that you need to pay attention to is going to be the black and purple wire on the original connector. That is going to be your ground wire for steering wheel controls. Now that ground wire has to be connected to the ground wire on the new connector, and you can't miss it. It essentially has the label ground wire. The order of the remaining 2 wires doesn't really matter. Now that the wires for steering wheel buttons are connected, let's see if it works. I'm gonna hold the volume up button, and it works perfectly. I'm gonna program all the rest of the keys. As I said before, this car does not have illumination wires, so I'm gonna cut this orange wire and splice it and solder it onto the red wire. Okay, moving on to the GPS antenna and 4G antenna. So what I'm gonna do, I'm basically just gonna glue them under the dash. I'm gonna clean the surface first so the glue can adhere better. Also, I'm just going to guide the USB cables to the glove box. Next, I'm moving on to these metal brackets. Since this device is much slimmer, there are 2 additional pieces, and I'm going to show you right now how to install them. So I'm going to take this flat piece and basically just place it like this on the side, and all you got to do is put in 3 screws right there, and you'll be done. Now after this part is mounted, this part goes over it. Okay, here it is. Now as you can see, I had to cut the edge of this second bracket so the unit can fit into the opening. Now before I start connecting everything, I still have to use this antenna adapter to connect the car's antenna properly. Next we got these plastic trim pieces. I'm just gonna push them in. And finally, here's our end result. I gotta admit, I'm more than happy with it. I just love how these Android head units fit inside the interior of Alfa Romeo 147 and GT. It really modernized it, and it made it look sleek. One thing that I think you should never avoid is painting this plastic trim around the Android unit itself. I think that this silver kind of makes it really fit in properly. Anyway, now that I'm done with that, I'm gonna show you some of the features of this head unit. Alright, the first thing that I'm gonna show you is how long it takes for the device to boot up. So if I turn the ignition on, you can see that it basically takes only a couple of seconds. Alright, now let's check out the device's functionalities. First, let's discuss the exterior. Now, compared to the previous version of ATOTO S8, this one actually has 5 buttons on the side with this microphone icon added. That just means that you can press on it, and if the device is connected to the internet, you can search it using your voice. Besides that, the slot for the memory card is not here anymore, and you also got this little hole right here for the reset, and we got the microphone on the top left corner. Alright, next let's check out the top bar. So we got the icon right here for the Wi-Fi. For eye comfort, it basically just removes the blue light. We got data, equalizer, screenshot, the icon for cleaning the memory, the gallery, and the button to reboot. You got 3 main buttons here. This one is gonna be to go back. This one is basically home, and this one is gonna show you all of the open apps. If you want to close them, just slide them up. And that is basically it. The screen icon right here is gonna allow you to dim down the screen. If I hit it once, it's gonna dim down a little bit. If I hit it again, it's gonna be darker even more. So we basically got 3 options for that. Next, let's check out the settings. So this first option right here gives you pretty much everything related to connection and internet and things like that. Now if I hit device, we got a bunch of options right here for display, sound, location status, storage, and so on. Now if I hit general, there is again a bunch of options right here in regard to like rear camera and things like that, but the one that I find interesting is this one, the panel illumination. Here you got 7 colors which are preset, and essentially you can choose pretty much any color that you would want for the buttons on the side. I like this option because, like, compared to some of the other devices that I used before, this one allows you to do that, and it's nice, so you can match the buttons on the side to the color of the buttons in your car. Here you got pretty much everything related to users and accounts, and here you got some generic options for date and time, accessibility, screen lock, and so on. Now to check out some of the different icons on the home screen. This one is of course for the phone. Here you can connect your phone to the device, and that is actually very useful. This icon right here is for the radio. This one is, if I remember right, for the video files. Now this one right here is going to be the Google Maps. Again, this is another very useful option because you can just like download the offline maps, or you can share your internet connection from the phone and you can use Google Maps without any issues. We got the equalizer here. Now this is gonna help you set up the sound. Now, I'm not really the expert for this, but I did play around with it a little bit. It allows you to like set up the front and the rear speakers, which is for me useful in this car because in the back I got speakers which are significantly stronger, so I was able to set up the sound pretty much perfectly. Now here we got the time correction, bass boost, sound field, and crossover. I didn't really mess with these few last options too much. Next we got the steering wheel control setup. Now you already saw that. To set up the steering wheel controls, all you gotta do is press on the button and press the corresponding button on the screen. This DVR cam, this is essentially the app that you can use if you want to use this device as the dash cam. Let's see what else we got here. We got gallery. I got my USB connected, so this is the icon that I use for the startup. Here we got a bunch of different images. Now if you want to use a certain image for the background, all you gotta do is open it and hit this icon right here. Now if we go back to the home screen, you can see that the image has been set up. The one thing that I forgot to show you is the system startup logo. Now there is actually like the instruction how to set up the startup logo. Now here it is right here. It says that you gotta put your logo image in the folder named My Current Root Directory of the external storage device, and it also gives you some advice on the resolution itself. So you can, I'm just gonna hit one of these. And that is basically it. However, this device is set up in such a way that every time you start up the car, the device does not reboot completely. It basically just like starts where it left off, and occasionally, maybe like once a month, it would reboot completely, and that's where you would see the startup logo. Now let's check out some of the shortcuts. Now if I use my two fingers to slide up, it's gonna open up like all of the open apps. If I use my three fingers to slide down, it's gonna open up the brightness adjustment. And also there are, I think, maybe like 4 or 5 other ones as well. Now one last thing that I gotta show you from the home screen is gonna be the music player. Here's where all of your tracks are displayed. On the side you can choose the source, it's either internal storage or the USB. You also got like now playing option, you can see like all of the media available, and you can check out the favorites. Now to select your favorite track, so you gotta do is hit the heart next to it. Now on the bottom we got the folders, we got artists, and we got songs, and you also got like the alphabet on the side that you can use to type up the artist name or the song or whatever. The radio itself is also very easy to use. You use the arrow to search for the station. If you hold it, it goes to automatic search. Now to memorize it, all you gotta do is hold the number 1, 2, 3, and so on. Here on the side you can also like edit the station, you can select the favorite and things like that. Now let's check out the other apps. To access them, all we gotta do is hit this icon right here. Now all of the apps from the home screen are available here as well. The one worth mentioning are like this Torque app, which I use in my Alfa Romeo Giulietta. I basically paired it with the Elm Bluetooth adapter and it works perfectly. I also installed a few other diagnostic apps, so I think that it's really useful. I don't really have much issues with my Giulietta, but you can check out the different parameters, and if check engine comes on, you can select it. You don't have to, you can like check it out. You don't have to take your car to a mechanic shop, and you don't have to hook up a diagnostic tool to it. Here you got some widgets that you can basically add to the home screen. I think that this option is also very useful. As I said before, one of the main reasons why I like this head unit so much is because it's essentially as having a tablet in your car. You can basically install any app you want, and this is another great example. So if you don't like the design of the home screen, you can install an app like this and customize it yourself. One other thing that I have to mention is that this device supports Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Lastly, I just want to share my experience with ATOTO. As I said before, they pretty much sent me the same unit a year before, which I installed in my Alfa Romeo Giulietta, and I gotta be real and honest, and I gotta say that I really didn't have any issues with this device. It has great software as well as hardware. It's responsive, it's fast, and I really don't have anything bad to say about it. So anyway, that would be all for this video. I hope you find it useful. If you did, hit that like button and support our channel by subscribing and by sharing our content with the rest of our